You're watching A-Sun basketball on ESPN. Bellarmine had a grand old time here on Saturday, picking up its first win of the season against Morehead State. Tonight, it's a different in-state matchup. The Western Kentucky Lady Toppers, younger than your Black Friday gifts, but they can play, and they'll be challenged by Bellarmine at Freedom Hall. So great to have you with us. Welcome courtside, Jack Kaiser, Pam Stackhouse, national champion coach. Western Kentucky didn't get the message that the Derbies after basketball season, they play fast, and Bellarmine handling that pace will be critical.
It will be critical, and it's been stressed all week in practice. But for the Hilltoppers, they're going to have to extend their defense, put a lot of pressure on the Bellarmine Knights so they can convert points off turnovers.
Jayla Johnson's going to be really important for Bellarmine today at the guard position, handling the ball and also knocking down threes.
You know, and we talk about her offensive prowess, but more impressively is how she can lock you down on defense, and she showed that she can do that, and she will need to show up tonight on that end of the floor as well.
As for Western Kentucky, they've got 11 underclassmen. The only upperclassman is Maral Abdelgawad. She's a senior from Egypt, and she leads on both ends.
She leads in everything, Jack. I mean, she leads them in scoring, in rebounding, in steals, and her most important job with this young squad is her leadership ability.
It's a fascinating matchup today at Freedom Hall. Bellarmine looking for its second consecutive win. Western Kentucky playing for its fourth straight. Check out our keys to the game. Pam, what do we have?
You know, for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, they need to take care of the ball. Both teams are turning the ball over at a high clip. Western Kentucky turns it over and hasn't been able to keep the opponents from scoring off their turnovers. But for the Knights as well, they turn the ball over at a high rate, and what has been good for Western Kentucky is they convert a lot of points off turnovers on their behalf. So, you know, tonight both teams need to take care of the basketball, and for Bellarmine, they need to play a very disciplined half-court defense. The Hilltoppers offense, a lot of movement, a lot of cuts, all five players are moving, so they'll have to be very disciplined.
Yeah, Bellarmine's defense is not going to have a break at any point today. Chancellor Dugan looking for win number 150. She's that close after the win over Morehead State this past Saturday. It was a 68-61 come-from-behind win, helping this team transition to the Division I level in their second year. And we are underway. They faced off last year at Diddle Arena in Bowling Green, and Western won it 82-49. Much improved on both sides this year. Interesting to see how it plays out. Western offense moves the ball quickly. Selma Kulo, sophomore, misses underneath. Maral Abdelgawad on the second effort, short, and Keelan finally clears. Bellarmine's offense really kicked it into gear in the second half against Morehead State. A lot of the starters were on the floor for that run, along with Presley Brown, their sixth player off the bench. Both teams empty on their first two possessions.
Yeah, you know, both teams just kind of getting the nerves, shaking the dust off.
Well, Maral Abdelgawad is a good player to finally break the scoring for WKU,
yeah,
leading the team at 15 a game.
You know, not being surprising that she shook it off at first. You know, she's just done everything for them all season long and for the last 4 years, so you'd expect a lot from her tonight.
Senior from Cairo, Egypt, the only senior on the team. 11 underclassmen out of 12 players on the roster. Ultra young. Lauren Deal misses from short range. And
you know, Lauren has just been struggling so far from the field this season, you know, and for the Knights to be successful, Lauren needs to find her footing on the offensive end as well.
Yeah, Bellarmine's lacked that inside presence scoring-wise this year. Look at the WKU starting five. 3 freshman starters to go with the sophomore Kulo and the senior Abdelgawad. Johnson stop and pop for 3, and she stays hot from downtown.
You know, if anyone can stretch the defense on Bellarmine, it's going to be Jayla Johnson, and right there she shows you why she can score from the outside as well.
Alexis Mead splitting the double team and cashing in. But Jayla Johnson, Pam, shooting wasn't expected to be a strong suit for her. She was 5 for 35 at Toledo from 3.
Exactly, but you know what? When you're given the opportunity and you're having confidence with the ball in your hand, hey, do what you do, and she's been doing it.
Well, she passes up the look there. Keelan takes it. Offensive rebound, Scott. And she can't hit the putback. Maya Meredith hits the three.
It's going to be a long night for the Bellarmine Knights if they're going to give up that shot in transition. I know, you know, trying to set your defense, but you got to find all shooters, you know, probably on the floor except for maybe Kulo that can shoot the three and hit it on a consistent basis.
And take 28 threes a game.
Yes.
That's a lot. Claire Knies draws the foul. Bellarmine's first trip to the line.
Well, you know, Jack, you mentioned their three-point shots. They're first in Conference USA in attempts and makes, and they're 19th in the NCAA in all of Division I. So they're going to put it up, and so Bellarmine's going to have to match up in transition, up and early.
They play fast, and they can really score. A lot of young talent. Second year in a row that Western Kentucky's been young. They had 6 true freshmen last year. They've got 5 this year. With the transfer portal, some players graduating, ends up as another young team for Greg Collins in his 6th season. But he loves the talent, and he expects them to finish a lot higher than 12th in the conference.
You know, that's just motivation for a team when someone picks you that low early in the season. So all those preseason standings and conference ratings are just, you know, on what you did last year. But, you know, we talked to Coach Collins, and he's like, no, I have a lot of confidence in this team.
Knies went 1 for 2 at the line. Both teams turn it over quite a bit. Ball pressure will be key tonight. Tori Hunter saves it, but right to Shat Coatney off the bench for Bellarmine.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, Bellarmine's going to have to play solid half-court defense.
Air ball from Johnson that time, and either Coatney or the ball were on the baseline.
You talked about how young this Western Kentucky team is. I mean, you have 1 senior, so that we've established that. You have 1 redshirt sophomore, which is a junior, maybe. You have 3 sophomores, and you have 2 redshirt freshmen. So, you know, so like these, they've had experience. It's just COVID. That COVID year truly messes up a lot of folks.
That's absurd. I don't think I've ever heard of 11 out of 12 players on a roster, eligibility-wise, being underclassmen.
It's a lot.
Good cut from Hunter. Even better pass, but she couldn't convert. Bellarmine a chance to tie with a 3 early on. Knies is hip checked.
It didn't seem to affect Claire, did it? I mean, she's just so strong. So even a little contact, she can absorb it.
A lot of subs early for both teams. Presley Brown checking in for the first time as Greg Collins looks on. Again, in his 6th season, he's been really good at home. 81% win percentage at home for Greg Collins. Not as strong on the road over the last 5 seasons, just 24 and 31 away from home.
Well, I don't know how many games you've been to in Diddle Arena, but there are not a whole lot of successful people who win in Diddle Arena. I can tell you I've been on the end of a lot of losses in Diddle, so it's a great place to play basketball. The fans are fanatics.
Yeah, the history of the program, 6 Sweet 16s, 3 Final Fours in the 80s and 90s. Not many people are winning going to Bowling Green.
Exactly.
Tori Hunter off the feed from Abdel Gawad, a 5-point lead for WKU.
You know, and Coach Dugan's, I heard this timeout is going to be a simple defense. And right there, you know, Bellarmine get lost and open layup.
Western Kentucky leading 9-4 first quarter. Out of the Conference USA, they joined that 7 years ago. Pretty big school down in Bowling Green, over 20,000. Their mascot is Big Red. And depending on your age, he can either seem really cute or terrifying. There he is.
As we mentioned, ESPN really loves Big Red. I mean, he is on a lot of commercials, and he is beloved there in Bowling Green.
But a 4 or 5-year-old, look at him the wrong way.
Yeah, he could seem a little terrifying.
Looks like a big red mitten you want to put on.
I'm sure Coach Dugan talked about points in the paint. I mean, Bellarmine has already allowed 6 points in the paint, which is more than half of the 9 points that the Hilltoppers have. So they need to shore that up, and that's been help side and just losing people on pick and rolls.
Hope Savory, the backup point guard and reigning freshman of the year in Conference USA, feeds freshman Alexis Mead for the three.
And what that made shot does is allow the WKU to set their full court press.
They turn teams over a ton. Top 20 in the NCAA in turnovers forced at 24 a game.
Well, they force you to play fast too. Even if you break it, you still are in the half court trying to play fast.
Johnson attacks on the second effort. Karams to deal, and Bellarmine resets. Shot clock didn't reset. We'll stop play. Our officials, Troy Winders, Natasha Harris, and Royce Belvins tonight.
A veteran crew on the officiating front tonight. I recognize several of the faces. So they've been officiating for a long time.
When you were a coach and had a veteran crew, were you less likely to get on them than the newbies?
Right. Yeah. You just had a level of confidence when you can, and then they know you, and so when you talk to them, as you see Coach Collins there is talking to Royce Blevins, and you can just have a conversation, and it just gives you a level of comfort knowing that it's a veteran crew.
So Bellarmine will do it from the sideline this time. Kathleen Scott having a lot of trouble getting it in, a near 5 count. Knies is trapped. Nice ball movement to deal. Can't finish through contact. And it'll stay here. Foul on Abdelgawad.
Yeah, if I'm Coach Collins, I'm very pleased with my defense. I mean, the Hilltoppers are really aggressive and active. And as you and I talked about before the open, is they're pesky. I mean, and they're going to extend it. They're going to send it full court. Even in the half court, they are getting after you. And it causes a lot of turnovers, as you spoke to.
Coatney has it stripped. It'll stay with Bellarmine again. We've been on this end of the floor for an eternity. Bellarmine hasn't been able to cash in yet.
You know, I know Coach Kelly has been stressing with Shanika Coatney, keep the ball up high right there. Therese Faustino was able to just kind of dig in and knock it out of bounds.
And get another deflection, loose ball to WKU. Felt like it was building up to a play like that. Savory slicing through and scoops it home.
You know, as we talked about, Jack, they're going to extend. They're going to play 5 out. There's a lot of movement in WKU's offense, which leads to those drives to the basket.
They nearly forced a turnover. I believe it was technically a turnover. They just gave it right back. Knocked out of bounds, stays with Bellarmine. But that 5-out set, if you don't close out, they'll shoot the 3, and if you close out too hard, they'll drive right by.
So your help has to be up on shooters, because they do shoot the 3 very well and often, and so it is a problematic matchup for the Knights.
Savory out in transition, missed the layup, the contest from Brown, and Bellarmine clears. Can Brown convert on offense? No. Coatney offensive board. And she turns it over. Again, both teams average 22 turnovers a game. We're only at 5 right now, which is a little bit short of that mark, on pace for it at least.
Well, if you're a Knight fan, you have 3, and you just don't want to do this. I mean, WKU is averaging 71 points a game, and when you're giving them layups and early transition, it's going to be a long night.
That's a tough shot for Alexis Mead, and that's the type of defensive possession Chancellor Dugan's looking for.
And needs, right? And so what the Knights need to do is be able to come down here, you know, set good screens, move the basketball, and get an easy basket. Bellarmine's has gotten good shots that just haven't fallen.
There's another good one for Presley Brown. Missed it. Savory leaking ahead of the pack. A wide open 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was Presley, Jalen, or Kathleen who was the get-back person, but there was no one back for that transition.
And every made basket helps Western Kentucky set up this daunting press. Jalen Foster has it poked away. Freshman off the bench. Mead, their star freshman, missed it. Foster the follow. And another timeout for Chancellor Dugan with just under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Western Kentucky already showing that can convert defense into offense.
Yeah, and we talked about the points in the paint, and I'm sure Coach is going to stress that too. But you know, Bellarmine is not helping themselves either on the offensive end. They've had good looks and have not been able to finish with them too. And on the defensive end, I'm sure you're going to see Coach probably mix up some of her defenses just so that you just don't get in a rhythm here. Western Kentucky right now, their offense is flowing on all cylinders as well as their defense. And it begins with Alexis Mead. I mean, she's a water bug. I mean, she's defending on one end, she's pushing transition on another, and it's been very contagious for the Hilltoppers.
She's got 5 points, averaging 12 a game this year. Again, the reigning conference freshman of the week after averaging 20 points per game her last 2.
Yeah, and you know, Coach talked to us about it yesterday, Jackie. Remember, he talks about how special of a player she is, and she attacks every day with the same consistency.
Well, Hope Savory's been attacking the Bellarmine ball handlers in the backcourt, and she picks up another steal.
I know if you're watching, you're going to hear us talk about the steals and how Western Kentucky has made a living off of them so far this season. And now you can see why it is a consistent and important part of their game plan.
Savory, co-freshman of the year last year in the Conference USA. Had a really nice game against Bellarmine with 15 points and a career-high 11 assists. Coming out confident against the Knights again.
Yeah, and Coach talked about, you know, she struggled a little bit early on, but just trying to find that consistency. And what better way to find your offensive consistency is by getting a steal and making things happen defensively.
Bellarmine just can't stop the bleeding right now. Bailey Harney stepped on the baseline, and it's back to Western.
You know, I know Coach is trying to find a combination of 5 players who want to play hard in a white uniform.
They expected depth this year, so they're dipping into that early. Faustino, Oregon State transfer, guarded by Keelan. Out to Savory for 3, way off the mark. Offensive rebound, Gabby McBride, and her 42 counterpart pulls down the final rebound. So Johnson had the 3 early for Bellarmine. Claire Canese with a free throw. That's all the scoring for Bellarmine here in the first quarter.
And you credit WKU's defense. I mean, they have been lights out on the defensive end.
There's another 3 for Johnson. She continues to stay hot from behind the arc and pulls Bellarmine within 12.
You know, this has been a great time for Bellarmine to get a good defensive stop. You know, you score on one end, come down, get a stop, and come back and convert just like this.
Yep,
this will be a very good time to go into the second quarter, you know, having a little momentum.
Lob swatted away by Meredith. Bellarmine will keep it. 6-second difference game in shot clock.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Coach calls here and what Bellarmine is able to do with this possession.
Bounce to Coatney, mid-range. Good look, couldn't hit it. Story of Bellarmine's first quarter, just 2 for 16. Shot clock off, 10 seconds for Savory. Faustino traveled. 2 seconds left for Bellarmine.
Now this will be a big heave if they can get a shot. But I doubt that the Hilltoppers are going to let Bellarmine get a good look. They're going to match up and force the clock to go to the second quarter.
Three-quarters court, way short. Jayla Johnson with a couple of 3s for Bellarmine, but pretty much all Western Kentucky in the first quarter. Turning defense into offense, up by 12. Second year in Division I for Bellarmine. They've wasted no time facing the tough top teams in D1. Cincinnati to open the year, a couple of ranked teams. Western Illinois as well. They're a fast-paced group. It's good for the program, though, especially this early in the transition.
It is, and you want to say it's confidence builders, but it isn't always confidence builders because you're taking on tough opponents. But what it shows your kids is, you know, the level that you have to be at and the level you have to play out consistently to be a championship team. And these games prepare you for the ASUN conference, and that's what, you know, Chance is trying to get the team prepared for.
They prepare you for conference play. It's great marketing for the school as well.
Absolutely.
So bigger picture, a very good thing for this program. Bailey Harney misses the 3 out of the break. It's a 12-point lead for Western Kentucky as we start the second quarter.
Well, the good thing for Bellarmine, if they can get another stop here, is Mo, as we call him, momentum, was on their side kind of to end that first quarter. So if they can get a stop here and come back, it just needs shots to drop. They're getting good shots. They're just not falling.
I didn't know you could personify momentum.
Mo, yeah. And Mo moves from bench to bench, and that's what the game is. It's a game of runs and momentum. So if Bellarmine, again, get a good defensive stop here.
Well, Bailey Harney's speed is going to be tested. She banks it home as Savory was leaking behind.
But Alexis Mee, boy, she's like pedal to the metal. She gets it. She gets the ball and she's going, and it propels this WKU offense.
Do you think that's a freshman thing?
I don't know if it's a freshman thing, because she's not playing like a freshman, that's for sure. And you know, Coach Collins mentioned that just her consistency has been really good for the team.
They whip it around to Johnson. Another air ball. She's hit 2 and airballed 2. Can the Knights recover on defense? Abdelgawad pass Robertson, but she cleans up the glass.
You know, we've seen Lucy Robinson for the first time in a couple of games, and you know, coaches yelling, "Get back, Lucy!" And you know, it'd be interesting. I think Lucy, this is a good game for Lucy to get a lot of experience, get some experience going into the stretch before conference play, and I think it's a good matchup between her and Kulo.
Well, a couple of inexperienced bigs. They haven't been asked in their careers, pair of sophomores, to do a lot yet. So in this type of matchup, who can step up down low? It's a great opportunity for both.
Exactly.
Western Kentucky is thin in the post this year. They lost a lot of rebounding, 60% of it from last season. And
that's a lot. But you know, you still have your veteran who is leading you in rebounding, but she's leading you from the guard position. As you see, McKenzie knocking it down from the corner, and you know, it's those kinds of things that fires up your defense. Get a good possession here, come back down, and what, Jack?
Trying to claw back in this game. That's what Bellarmine was doing. They had cut it on an 8-0 run to a 7-point game. It was 19-4. The Western answers back to a 9-point lead. Knights trying to hang around after a slow start. Poor pass from Harney. Johnson couldn't save.
Again, you know, this is a group that, you know, I don't know if I've seen this group play together. I think Coach, again, is trying to find somebody who wants to step out on the floor, play hard on the defensive end, come down and score on the offensive end.
It seems like Bellarmine's having a lot of trouble with lobs early on.
You know, and that could be where the guard, I really didn't see where Bailey passed that from, but it seemed like she was pretty far out. I mean, that's a long lob pass.
Foul on Bellarmine will keep it here. So Johnson's got 6 on 2 threes. Keelan has 3 points on a 3. Bailey Harney has a lay-in in transition, and Claire Canese has 1 free throw. Mainly the 3-point line being used on offense for Bellarmine so far, and a couple of fouls within a couple seconds.
Yeah, you know, you're 12-2 in the paint with WKU leading in that category, and I know Coach would like more production from her post players, and she's trying to find one that's going to bring one.
Got a 30-second timeout. 7:09 left in the second. We'll make it a full. Western up by 9. In-state matchup, Western Kentucky up by 9 second quarter. Jack Kaiser, Pam Stackhouse, our entire great crew at Freedom Hall with you tonight. Quick inbounds to Abdel Gawad, and she's fouled right away.
She just snuck right. I don't know if we have the replay on that, but I mean, she just snuck right to the basket, and McKenzie, she got right in front of McKenzie for the N1. Well, no, I don't believe she made it, but the 2-point foul shot. Yeah, I mean, she just snuck right in. You know, McKenzie got caught looking at the ball, and she just snuck right in. But that's a veteran, right? A veteran versus a sophomore.
A couple of tumbles there between the centers for both teams. But the off-ball movement's something you mentioned right away, and that was a perfect example.
Exactly. Yeah, you cannot rest. You can't get caught looking at your ball because your man is not standing still. There's no, quote, help side.
They play 5 out, and they're always moving with plenty of small players out there around Kulo. It'll stay on Bellarmine's end, down by 10. They were down 19-4, went on an 8-0 run, hanging around at this point in the first half.
Yeah, you know, and just credit to this WKU team. I just love the way they play. They have a lot of, they're a very competitive group. I mean, they're small, but they have a lot of fight.
Scrappy. Johnson's pass intercepted. Top 20 in the nation in steals. Abdel Gawad steps through for 2.
Yeah, and she has, what, a couple of those already. And, you know, there's your veteran saying, listen, I'm coming into Freedom Hall for the first time to play, and I'm going to leave with a win.
All-conference defensive team last year, picking up right where she left off.
You know, Coach talks about that she's relentless every day in practice on the defensive end. And, you know, who wants to practice defense, right? But she does, and she does it. He says she brings it every day.
Well, her defense into the offensive end left Alexis Mead wide open. She cans her second 3 and the lead out to 15 again.
I mean, you know, Alexis Mead is second on the team in scoring. So she's just a lot of youth on this team, but they don't play like freshmen. Alexis Mead from the point guard position is not playing like a first-year point guard.
Freshman out of Moreno Valley, California, ton of talent.
Yeah, and she plays like she has a lot of swag. I mean, she's walking around there pointing, telling folks where to go. I mean, that's what you want from your point guard, very vocal. Like right there, she's still talking to them in the free throw line and just getting everybody set.
Alexis Mead, left side of the screen. She leads the freshman. Abdel Gawad leads the team. And I love the support Abdel Gawad has for her team and her freshmen. She said before the season started, if conference opponents don't give us the respect that they should, our freshmen will kick their butt.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're seeing that tonight. You know, I mean, I know it's early in this game, but I'm a point guard coach, and I love when a kid plays the way that Alexis Mead is playing, and it's infectious to your team, not only offensively but defensively.
Lucy Robertson is both free throws, and Maya Meredith travels.
You know, that's an emphasis this year in officiating, is watching that swish of the feet, or the I call it the Fred Flintstone step. It's like almost the change of the pivot foot, and it gets called a lot. I think it's a big emphasis.
You like the Flintstones growing up?
I did. I think I'm telling my age.
I like the gummy vitamins, if that counts for anything.
It does not.
Lauren Deal, over 100 games of experience, the only fifth-year senior for Bellarmine. Down to her knees, out to Brown. They go back to Deal again, and the hook shot rolls home.
Yeah, nice. I mean, credit Deal. I mean, she kept that ball alive and was able to convert after getting at least one offensive board, to her credit, and then converting.
If Bellarmine is going to come back in this game, Lauren Deal will probably be at the center of it.
She will, and you know, and historically, you know, especially the last 2 games, Presley Brown. I mean, she has come in off the bench and been spectacular for Bellarmine. Yeah, you see Lauren, you know, just a nice dump down to Lauren Deal, finishing right there at the rim. Exactly what your team needs. You know, they're challenging you in points in the paint, and Bellarmine had no answer. Now they're answering back by points in the paint as well, and it takes pressure off your shooters.
That inside presence, scoring-wise, just something they haven't had this year. They're expecting Lauren to get there at some point, And maybe that sparks her offense.
Exactly.
Going for a second straight, and she got it.
And that's exactly what you need. And it'll spark her. It'll spark Shaniqua Coatney. And then your shooters don't feel like they're carrying the burden from, 30 feet out.
Savory shoots it from about 30 feet away, and she missed. Bellarmine cuts it to 9 again after being down 15. Coatney inside this time, and she hits it with her right.
What bench do you think Mo's sitting on now? I think, the momentum has gone to Bellarmine. They've made adjustments defensively.
Oh, Coatney with the swat. She's a lefty. She hit the layup on offense with her right hand and got that block with the right as well.
And it was nice. She blocked it to her teammates so they could run on the transition in.
And Deal is fouled.
As you see, just a nice dump down, a bounce pass from Claire Canese, and a strong finish by Shaniqua Coatney.
That's what they've been working on with her this year, going up with authority and then finishing.
Exactly. And what's been puzzling is that Shaniqua is a scorer, and she did that for Bellarmine last year, but has started really slow this season, and she just needs to gain some of that confidence, and hopefully, tonight is giving her a little bit of that.
Well, she looked dominant at times last year. She had 27 points against Jacksonville. She's capable of that type of game.
Yeah, she has the ability to do it. She just needs to have some confidence and when she's given the opportunity to be successful.
Well, Bellarmine's got a load of confidence right now. A 10-0 run right back into this game. Scott coming off 16 points against Morehead State, a career high. Gives to Coatney. With her left, she's hit from behind.
Yeah, it's a nice take by Coatney. Now she's feeling it. I mean, and that gives your team confidence. You're like, man, my big girl is ready to play. I mean, she faced up and was ready to take that shot.
Just looking at this matchup, there were a couple avenues for Bellarmine to have success, forcing turnovers. Western's been prone to that. And also establishing an inside game, and that's what they've done.
Exactly, and that's what needs to happen for Bellarmine to be successful.
Coatney's not a bad free throw shooter as well. That's just her 3rd attempt this year, but above 70% last year.
Shaniqua Coatney has such a nice, smooth, she's a lefty, and so you see that. It's just a nice, smooth shot and a great touch around the basket.
Lefties look smoother at everything.
They do.
Offensive foul. They get Jalen Foster for the illegal screen.
But as you see here, yeah, she pinned and tried to roll, and that's a pretty obvious call for the official.
Scott has it stolen. They're looking for Savory, and she corrals. She tried to bounce it with one hand like a baseball pass, and it was kicked away.
Possessions are so valuable for Bellarmine, because they do turn it over at a high rate. And so when you have an opportunity, you want to take care of the basketball, like that turnover by Presley right there, just to give the team another opportunity to cut into this lead.
I think Western got away with one there. Faustino almost traveled.
Yeah.
Now she's inside the arc. Jenna Walker, another freshman into the game. She can score it, but her pass is stolen. And a travel because Lauren was run over by Shaq.
Yeah. I don't know if Shaq was looking down the court, looking to the side. I don't know, but she did. She ran right into the back end of Lauren Deal.
There can't be a foul called if there's contact from your teammate.
No. But you know what? Still, that was a great defensive possession if you're a Knights fan. And so, hey, listen, 30 more seconds. Let's do it again.
Savory inside the line. McBride trying to save it. She's on the baseline and out of bounds. So, Pam, around this point in the game last year at Diddle Arena, Bellarmine was down by just 5. It was only their 2nd game of the year. They were competing hard with Western, and then Western went on a 7-0 run to pull away. Let's see how these 2 minutes play out.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 minutes of every quarter are going to be very important
Brown to cut it or tie it. Missed it. Coatney now cuts it to 1.
Coatney is feeling it now. I mean, she's been quiet all season long, but not tonight.
6 points for Shaq. Had just 1 basket before tonight.
And she's just been a presence in the paint defensively. She's deterring shots, blocking shots right there. So now, if you're a Western Kentucky player, you think twice before taking it in there.
She gobbled up Meade. Brown and 1. Bellarmine leads for the first time today.
Boy, this is when your offense can take off. Boy, defense leads to offense. Big block by Shaniqua Coatney, passing the ball out, get down to the court. Presley Brown coming off the bench, doing what she does, giving a shot in the arm to her offense.
She had 15 points in the comeback, was the center point against Morehead State in the second half. Comeback started early today for Bellarmine. Western's offense has gone stagnant.
Well, you know, you got to credit Bellarmine's defense as well. I mean, Bellarmine's defense has been upgraded, and so it results in that. Just like they were a little disruptive for Bellarmine's offense early on.
Brown's got a couple straight buckets. Bellarmine leads by 4 on a 17-0 run.
That is insane.
Can Western find some footing here in the final 40? Savory blows by Brown.
Well, that's what your sophomore does, huh? She's like, yeah, I've struggled a little myself. I need some confidence, and so she took it right to the hole.
Scott was pushed to the backcourt. Savory doesn't like it. She's been so aggressive. If you continue that, things like that are bound to happen.
Exactly. No, and you know, but Bellarmine, if they can sink these 2 free throws, go down on the end, you know, WKU can take the last shot of this half and go into the locker room with the lead.
Scott's the player you want at the line. Their top free throw shooter, 15 to 16.
What, 93% free throw shooter? I mean, she's pretty deadly from the line.
That just makes a point guard coach smile, right?
It does. It really does, because you just have confidence when you see her at the line.
Shot clock is off. Bellarmine was down by 17 in the first half.
And you see Coach Dugan goes to her 2-3 zone here.
Savory, contact, no call. Probably no contact, she just fell. 6 seconds. Brown looking for somebody. Scott is denied. We saw a lot of that on the other end, though, for Bellarmine. A 21-5 run over the last 6:30. Bellarmine storms back. Shaniqua Coatney leading the pack. Bellarmine up by 4 over Western Kentucky. Jack Kaiser, Pam Stackhouse, our entire great crew with you. Presley Brown off to a pretty good start scoring-wise this season off the bench. She's been playing both positions, 1 and 2, as a backup, a naturally gifted passer. She had 5 in the first half today and exploded for 26 against Western Illinois.
You talk about senior leadership on the Western Kentucky side. You know, you have to talk about Presley Brown for Bellarmine, and she's the senior. She's handled a lot of roles, as you mentioned, so far this semester. And what I've been so pleased with is that she responds in all of those situations, right? And the last few games coming off the bench and making a huge contribution to the Knights. And so, you know, kudos to Presley Brown. I mean, she comes from a basketball family. I mean, that's what they do. That's what they talk about. I mean, she's lived, breathed this all of her life.
Yeah, we'll talk about her and her sister Ivy later on, but Presley brought a scoring punch off the bench this season. Coaches talked about how it was unselfish of her to go to the bench, take on a different role as a one where she may not score as often. She's kind of evolved into those scoring opportunities. There she is coming out of the locker room during halftime. But Presley, when Bellarmine's rolling, it seems like she and sometimes Lauren Deal has been a big part of that.
And yeah, when you talk about runs, she's been involved in them, and so you've got to give her the credit for handling these things. Some people have to handle a lot of adversity, and hers is just in the last few games coming off the bench and doing what her team needs them to do, and I can't praise her enough for that.
So Presley and the Knights, great opportunity to take down a Hilltoppers team that beat them by 33 last year, 82-49. Bellarmine was blitzed at the end of the half, transitioning into the second half. It was the exact opposite today. Now, Bellarmine most likely won't blow out WKU, but Bellarmine's been playing extremely well in a totally different story from last year.
Yeah, and if you're comparing last year to this year, I think Bellarmine went down to Bowling Green and was just coming off of COVID protocols, and people weren't really in shape. I mean, last year, when you think about that season, it was totally disrupted, right? So you played 2 games, and you sit out 2 games for quarantine, and so you could never really get into a role with it. But Western Kentucky is a formidable foe, so never want to take anything for granted when you playing a team like Western Kentucky. But Coach Dugan has to be pleased being in the locker room. I know she talked about the 13 turnovers that Bellarmine has. They cannot turn the ball over 13 more times and expect to win this game, because Western Kentucky capitalizes off of their opponent's mistakes.
Those are the adjustments Bellarmine will have to make. As for the coaching staff for Western Kentucky, Presley's sister had a word at halftime. Ivy Brown, her first season as a full-time assistant, previously a GA, star at Western Kentucky, former Miss Basketball. Presley and Ivy are really close. They want the best for each other. She said, yeah, maybe Ivy's rooting for me to play well, but Western still wins.
We talked to Coach Collins about Ivy Brown and what she brought to the team when she was a player. I mean, you just read off all of the accolades. But, we asked him, what's your connection to the Bellarmine Knights? And one of the first things he said was Presley Brown, because of Ivy and Presley. And you got to love when sisters are rooting for each other, even when they're opponents.
Presley joked with her that she'd point at her after every basket that she made. She's made a couple, no point yet.
I did look for it, because I would not put it past Presley to do it.
Maybe a sly point, maybe a little look, we'll have to see. Bellarmine ending the first half on a rapid pace, 21-5 run after trailing by 17. They lead by 4 at halftime, and we're underway in the third. Turnovers killed them early in the first half, and 1 to start the third here.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way you want to start your the second half, but maybe the Knights can get a stop here and redeem their teammate.
Selma Kulo way short on the hook. Maya Meredith, clean bank look, missed it. And Keelan's fouled in the double.
You can't keep giving Western Kentucky 2 and 3 opportunities at the basket. I mean, that's not where you're going to be very successful. Bellarmine does not score enough points to allow their opponents to get easy offensive putbacks.
Now, the defense was 1 and out during that big run at the end of the half.
Exactly, and that's what you need it to be.
Scott's their primary ball handler. How can she work past Meade?
Yeah, we talked about in the first half. I mean, Meade has just been phenomenal, not just on the offensive end, but the defense starts with her, and she's been giving Kathleen Scott the business. And then you see that Lauren Deal turnover, just very uncharacteristic, just threw it right out of bounds, and just got to get that, I don't know, just right out of sync or something.
Yeah, a couple of turnovers for Deal. She had a nice box out there and tapped it to Johnson. Right through the wickets of Keelan. Scooped up by Meade, and she's clobbered.
You know, Jack, we talked about this, and we'll continue to talk about it. Western Kentucky will make you pay when you turn the ball over because they convert to points. I mean, you know, Bellarmine starts the game, Lauren Deal dribbles it off her foot, turnover. Next trip down, throws it out of bounds, turnover, and here, turnover, which gets Alexis Mead to the free throw line for two opportunities at the basket.
She is an excellent passer as well on the offensive side at a Martin Luther King High School in California. She broke the school's season assist record as a freshman. Martin Luther King High School, the Fighting Kawhi Leonards. Mascot name change pending to perhaps the load managers. We'll see.
Well, that's a little research there, Jack. That's good stuff.
Point is, great high school career, and they expect big things for Mead and Bowling Green.
Well, what I've seen from Mead so far tonight, just watching a little film on her, I love her, and she'll be a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Maya Meredith could be as well.
Oh,
she hits the deep too. It's a one-point game.
For sure. I mean, those two are a great 1-2 punch.
Keelan, couple of long steps, but timed the jump wrong. Meredith is swallowed up by Brown, and Western will have a chance to take the lead at the line.
You know, Coach Dugan cannot be pleased with the way that Bellarmine has come out and started the second half. I mean, just to go back to what I highlighted earlier with the turnovers, and then just these easy attempts for Western to get points from the line, and easy layups in transition.
Meredith rattles home the first at a Scott High School in Kentucky, just south of Cincinnati. She tore her ACL as a junior, was having an outstanding year as a senior before a torn labrum, and she's still working her way back from that injury, getting her legs under her.
You know, and Coach talked about her. Coach Collins talked about that she has no ceiling. I mean, the sky is the limit for Maya Meredith and her talent and her ability to be a great contributor at Western Kentucky.
Kulo got a piece of that Brown shot. Western trying to extend its lead. On the drive, it's a charge.
And that's your big girl taking the charge. I mean, and she does it every game. And I mean, and when you talk about Shaq Coatney, she did it a lot last season. As you watch her, she gets her feet set. She's a great salesman on that flop, but she is willing to take a charge, and that's what her team needs.
On offense and defense, when she's decisive like that, she can really play.
Yeah, and as you saw in the first half, she was a huge reason that Bellarmine was able to come back in this game.
Catch and shoot for Keelan. On line short. Offensive board, Brown. Got a tie up. Should be staying with Bellarmine. Nope, I was wrong.
Well, it's only the first time tonight, Jack, that you were wrong.
Well, I did it in the men's game on Sunday, so I'm 0 for my last 2. We can't see the possession arrow in my defense, but I probably should know that. Western basketball. Not great three-point shooting tonight. Abdel Gawad rattles out. Coach Dugan wanted her team to box out, eliminate these second chances for the Hilltoppers.
You just don't want to give this a team that can shoot the ball and score like they can.
Abdel Gawad will try to capitalize at the line.
You know, Lauren Deal is very capable of guarding Morel Delgawad, but right there she just couldn't get her feet set and reached, and now she's going to the line for 2.
Yeah, if you're off balance, she's going to make you pay.
Yeah, and she's such a, I love her size. I mean, she is a very strong guard. I mean, she can do a lot of things, and when you can get rebounding production from your guards like she brings for Western Kentucky, that's a lot.
Bellarmine hasn't scored this half. Looking for that elusive first bucket. Western was down by 4, now a 2-point lead.
You know, the ability for Alexis Mead to guard Kathleen and not foul, having her hands up and still staying in front of the offensive player is remarkable. I mean, talk about sky's the limit for Alexis Mead.
Yeah, she's talented in so many ways. And one for Meredith. Brown called for the contact.
And that was just a quick, no one back. Presley Brown's supposed to be back, but boy, they leak out. When you think about Maya Meredith just leaking out, and they are looking for each other, man. The guard got, I think it was Morrell, got the ball, just pushed it up to the court, and an easy a foul. I mean, I don't know if Presley fouled her, but it surely looked like it from our seat. She did bring her case to the official, but it didn't work.
Rarely ever does. Another turnover. It's Mead this time on the swipe. Rolls out, gets it back. Blevins. Coatney finally snatches the rebound. Shades of early first quarter. But Deal converts in transition. That stops the drought in 9-0 Western run.
You know, this first half or the second quarter comeback by Bellarmine was fueled by their defense, and it's going to have to happen in this quarter and this half as well.
First quarter, second quarter, just totally flip-flop. It was 19-7 Western after the first. Bellarmine outscored them 26-10 in the second.
And then that remarkable, and it's a tribute to it. And the thing that kept Western in the game, gave them the lead in the first quarter was, you know, they turned Bellarmine over 13 times and scored 14 points over those turnovers. So, I mean, Bellarmine needs to take care of the ball, because when you turn the ball over against Western Kentucky, they're converting that to points.
15-4 points off turnovers, 17 turnovers for Bellarmine, just 7 for Western. Had our eyes on that from the get-go. Abdel Gawad, the back cut, and Hunter the feed.
Yeah. We talked about that, Jack, you and I, about the cuts and the movement of this Western Kentucky offense, and you have to be ready to guard. You cannot be flat-footed defensively.
So Bellarmine's missing its threes. Western's been able to convert on offense. Again, shades of the first quarter. Abdel Gawad over the top.
Yeah.
Western storm back early in the third quarter. Pendulum just keeps swinging. Which way will it swing next? Maya Mer Avert your eyes, Pam. Crystal Kelly's in a Western Kentucky uniform, and that still stings for you.
It really does sting for me. I recruited Crystal Kelly when I was at the University of Kentucky, and she broke our heart and went to the Hilltoppers, but had a wonderful career. I mean, had suffered several losses at the hands of Crystal Kelly and the Lady Toppers. So we're so glad that she's here at Bellarmine. We call her Crystal Kelly 2.0. This is her second stint on our staff, and just talking to Coach Collins yesterday about what she means to their program. I mean, she's just she's a legacy there. I mean, she's done it all, and she's a great representative of their alumni.
One of 3 players from Western, a historic program, to be drafted into the WNBA. Played for a couple of years, played overseas as well. Had a ridiculous career. Greg Collins said she was ridiculously unstoppable.
Yeah.
That point total is absurd, over 2,800, but now she's bringing her expertise to Bellarmine, facing her alma mater.
Yeah, and talked about that she was unstoppable. She didn't beat you inside, she beat you on the boards. So she did. But, you know, right there, Presley Brown saying, listen, I turned it over a couple times. I need to do something for my team, and being able to score right there.
Trying to channel her inner Crystal Kelly attacking the rim.
I would love for her to channel that. I would love any player on Bellarmine's team to channel their inner Crystal Kelly.
Just that aggressiveness, the intention, she was phenomenal. Presley Brown misses that one. Rebound, Coatney out to Keelan for a big 3, and she drains it.
And that's what Mackenzie Keelan does for the Bellarmine Knights. I mean, that's her deal. And Coach Dugan says to Mackenzie in practice, if you're open, shoot it. That's why you're in the game. Shoot it.
She can be a mismatch at the 4 and playing the 5 in the starting lineup with Coatney slowly working her way back in. Down to a 2-point game. Bellarmine was up 4 at halftime. Tori Hunter turns, and she's slightly blocked by Coatney. But Keelan lost it out of bounds, and those unforced errors are just killers for Bellarmine.
Yeah, Bellarmine's, got 17 turnovers. As you see Shaq there pass out to her teammates, say, I know you got it, sister, knock it down, was able to do so. But Bellarmine, turning the ball over, it's 18 times now, and it's resulted in 15 points from WKU. They will make you pay when you turn the ball over.
Yeah, that's been a big difference in the game. Bellarmine, meanwhile, taking advantage of the glass, up 38-25. Got a brief stoppage.
Which I don't know that we've been able to say at all this season that Bellarmine leads anyone in rebounding. But, going back to WKU and their defense, I mean, they've already hit their average in steals per game at 12 as they sit right now, and we're only we have 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter. So I mean, this game is far from over, and the WKU Lady Toppers love to play defense.
They had 26 steals in a game against Kentucky State. Have you ever heard of that?
Well, I haven't, but I mean that's ridiculous. But it all begins with their guards. I mean they are very active.
Yeah, they're ferocious on defense.
Yeah.
Morella Abdelgawad with some ferocity to the rim.
When we talked to Coach Collins yesterday, the word that kept coming out of his mouth was competitors. They're competitors. They work hard. They're competitors. And that's what defenders do. I mean, they're just saying, listen, I like to play offense, but I know it starts on the defensive end as well.
Robertson hustling for it in the corner to Brown, and she's fouled. That all started with Lucy Robertson.
Yeah, I mean, again, talking about the bigs, needing the production from the bigs for Bellarmine. Lucy Robinson being able to tip that ball, as you see her, and she hustled in the corner for her and was able to pass it out to get Presley Brown to the free throw line.
When you saw the hands, too, with that one reaching out to grab it before it went out of bounds, she's been working on her hands a lot recently with the lacrosse ball, throwing it against the wall like that wall ball, catch it wherever it goes. It's starting to work for Lucy.
It is, and as we talked about, you haven't seen much of her so far this season, and, she's trying to work her way into the lineup as well.
1 for 2 for Brown, down 44-41. Western Kentucky looking for a 4th straight win. Bellarmine looking for a 2nd straight. Blocking foul on Johnson.
Yeah, if you're going to reach and not be solid defensively in Western Kentucky, they're going to make you pay because they do they love the straight line drives to the basket where there's no help, and that there you saw Jalen trying to step over, but was too late.
Abdelgawad's been the one to take that straight line drive a lot here in the second half. She's now got 10 points. Stays that way.
You wouldn't say that she's having a great offensive night for her, but she's just been so solid. Like she missed that 3 going into that timeout, and she stood there and kept holding her follow through. She's not carrying those possessions back and forth. She's letting them go and moving on to the next play. As you can see there, trying to get a steal and make something happen for her team.
Yeah, deflected it right to Savory. She's open for 3. Scott, the smallest player, almost got it. Meade crashes to the ground.
What?
People flying everywhere, and it's out of bounds off Bellarmine.
I don't know. It happened all right in front of us, Jack, and I don't know what was happening there.
Wild sequence. Western Kentucky up by 4. So we have a 30-second timeout. So a story of 2 quarters in the first half. Bellarmine's calmed the storm a little bit here as Western blitzed them to start the third. From what you've seen, Pam, how does Bellarmine stay close and then ultimately get over the hump at the end?
Yeah, it's going to start on the defensive end for them. I mean, because that Western Kentucky can score the basketball, and they've proven that all year long. I haven't seen Bellarmine consistently be able to guard Western. I mean, they did it more so in the second quarter. The first quarter, not at all. And they haven't been, Bellarmine hasn't been able to handle WKU's pressure, and they've been very disruptive. The minute they score, they're setting their full court defense, and so it's getting Bellarmine out of their rhythm offensively. So you know, being able to guard in their possessions with a box out and come down and run something. Look inside. I mean, Shaniqua Coatney has been a presence for the Knights inside. In the second half, she was huge for the comeback, and she did it on the defensive end. She has done it on the offensive end, and I think we got to give her a look again.
Yeah, Shaq, part of that big comeback at the end of the first half. 6 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks for. Hasn't scored here in the second half. There she is there. Western Kentucky, 17 points off turnovers. Another story tonight. Western dominating the paint as well, 26-18.
Exactly, Jack. And since that stat was made, I mean, it's 19 points on the stat sheet off of Bellarmine turnovers. And that's what WKU does. I mean, they will turn you over, but they capitalize on your turnovers. And they've done that all season long.
Chance Dugan still barking out the orders to her team. Western's huddle's done. Chance always has something to say, right?
She does. She does. You know, she's, you know, trying to wheel her team, and not wheel like a W-H-E-E-L, wheel, W-I-L-L, wheel her team to play hard. I mean, Coach Dugan is, you know, trying to pour her energy into her team, and they need to do that to be successful tonight. You know, one of the things that is just so surprising when you look at the stat sheet is Bellarmine has 39 rebounds to WKU's 27, and that is really the first time this season that Bellarmine has had a dominant effect on the boards.
Literally the first time they've out-rebounded an opponent, if this does hold. They're minus 14 on the glass. Minus 14. They're plus 13 tonight.
You know, Bellarmine has been, both teams have been to the free throw line 13 times, but Bellarmine has capitalized 11 of those times.
Well, here we go, final 2 of the third quarter. Meade wide open for a free throw line jumper, and Western hits it out of bounds. Bellarmine fortunate she didn't hit it.
Yeah, and the Bellarmine guards, Kathleen Scott and Jalen Johnson, were lucky that, you know, that ended that way, because they got caught up on each other on that switch.
Abdelgawad anticipated the half-court pass, but Bellarmine ends up with a carom.
Just another example of what this pressure has been doing to the Bellarmine offense. It's just very disruptive.
90 seconds to go, third quarter. Brown pivots, Deal pumps, and she scores.
Exactly what you need from your senior right now. You know, attack the basket and convert and come down here and play defense. Need a solid stop here for the Knights.
Deal matches her season high of 10 points. Leads all Bellarmine scores. She's defending the freshman Macy Blevins. Meade over the top. Misses another mid-range J, and Johnson has it. Near travel. Deal doesn't take threes. And Brown just lost it.
Very frustrating when you turn the ball over, you know, for no reason, and you got to give Western Kentucky credit when they are defending you and causing you to be disruptive. But right there, just turning the ball over with no pressure, it can be deflating because you're trying to play. You know you're still behind. You need to do something positive on the defensive end so you can come down and do something on the offensive end.
Blevins curling and fouled. They get Deal with the push.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the officials saw. I mean, maybe there was a foul on the first drive on the bump, but definitely not on the shot. Lauren Deal did get all ball on that.
Well, there were multiple bumps there, and it was called after the block.
Yeah, and the official said it was with the body.
A bit of a late whistle, 1 for 2 at the line. Deal in transition is swatted from behind. Jalen Foster.
Man, credit WKU. They were able to get back. I mean, that was a bullet down the court. Jalen Foster was there to say no ma'am.
Pretty good offense from Bellarmine, better defense. Scott throws it right to Meade. Meredith. And Western leads by 5. Johnson on the attack. It bounces right to Coatney, and that's her first basket of the second half as we close out the third. So Bellarmine was up by 4. Western a strong start to the third. They head to the fourth up by 3, looking for a 4th straight win. It's competitive at Freedom Hall. Tie game at Freedom Hall. Western Kentucky leads Bellarmine 48-45. Maral Abdelgawad, 11 points. Second on the team behind Maya Meredith this game. Only senior on a super young team. It's all underclassmen outside of her. She's the lone upperclassman, and she feels like she's really grown into a leadership role this year. And
it showed tonight. I mean, she's been a fantastic leader. Early on in the game, her shots weren't falling, but she was still bringing it on the defensive end, as you could see with 4 steals.
She said even little things off the court, going out with teammates instead of just hanging out in her room, starting to do those things now in her senior season, and really excited about her young teammates. She's on the floor with Kathleen Scott, 2 of the toughest players for both teams. Scott had possession and called a timeout.
I was waiting to see what was happening.
Yeah.
The official was struggling, had his mask on, couldn't blow the whistle. You know, but there you go. We're talking about Maral Abdelgawad, and she was trying to post up in that sequence a smaller Jalen Johnson. Teammates just couldn't get her the basketball, but you know, she was fighting to get it and was ready to score, and probably would have done so.
22 seconds into the fourth quarter. Got a timeout. Scrap from Kathleen Scott, Maral Abdelgawad on the floor. And here we go. Bellarmine up by 4 at halftime. Just 12 points in the third quarter. Hanging around, though. Blevins blocks a Johnson 3.
WKU pulling a little chess match of their own, coming out in a zone, which you very rarely see them play a zone.
Yeah, they've shown it just one other time tonight. Bellarmine more of the team that mixes it up defensively. See how Bellarmine adjusts here. Kick out to Johnson. She's got 2 threes. It'll stay that way. And Meade travels with Deal in the vicinity.
Yeah, I called that one from the table as well.
Inner coach coming out, waving those hands.
Yeah, inner coach. Yeah, because you know coaches get all the calls right. But you know, right there, good things happen when the ball goes inside. They pass it into Shaq Coatney. Shaq was able to pass it open out for an open 3.
Deal, what a step through back to the left. Season high, 12 points for her.
We talked about it. You know, Bellarmine can be successful if their bigs get involved in the offense, and they have so far.
Her and Coatney have combined for 20. Missed that inside presence up to this point this season.
That was a great defensive effort by Kathleen Scott to keep Alexis Meade in front of her and cause her to give the ball up.
Well, that was a heck of a defensive effort from Lauren Deal. Here's her on offense.
Yeah, nice. You know, we call it the tricky foot, but boy, she went up and under and was able to finish with her left hand.
Scott all over Abdelgawad on the drive.
And they're going to challenge you off the dribble, and Coach Dugan stressed that at practice. You know, they are going to challenge you off the dribble. They're going to take it right at you. They're going to hand the ball off. You're going to have to be solid defensively for 30 seconds.
You mentioned defending those handoffs a key early in the game. How have they done today?
And, you know, I don't think Bellarmine's done terrible, but they have not, you know, if you can guard one, then they weren't successful on all of them. So the scouting report says you got to be successful for 30 seconds, and Bellarmine has not done that tonight consistently.
Scott wide open for the lead. Offensive rebound deal. Brown passes up the three, threads it to Coatney. Deal finishes, and Bellarmine leads by 1.
And that's big to big, saying, look, looking for you. I'm looking for you, big one. I mean, Presley Brown lobbed that into Shaq Coatney, saying, girl, we have to get you involved for us to win.
And Western just keeps drawing fouls on the offensive side.
And goes back to Alexis Mead. I love this kid, and I'm pulling for her the rest of the season and her career in WKU uniform. I mean, she is an epitome of what a WKU guard would be. She plays relentlessly on both ends of the floor.
Greg Collins said, when you have a freshman that approaches every day the same, you know you've got something special.
I mean, to be able to see it up close in person, I mean, she plays with fire, and she's constantly talking to her teammates.
Tied at 49. Brown, an aggressive drive, and she banks it home.
Yeah, she made WKU pay. I mean, on that press, she attacked the basket, and it was very successful for her.
Brown's got 8 off the bench. Steal for Scott. Johnson through 2. Mead fouled.
Yeah, look who's involved. Alexis Mead again. I mean, Alexis Mead is second on the team in rebounding tonight. I mean, she's doing it all.
She's 5'5".
She is.
7 rebounds, 12 points.
She leads the team in rebounding currently. I mean, so she's doing it all. I mean, she has 12 points. She's tied with Maya Meredith, leading them in rebounding.
So despite the effort of Alexis Mead and the turnovers for Bellarmine, they lead by 2.
I know.
Rebounding's been really pivotal for them today.
It really has.
46-30. Western's just not hitting its open shots and turning it over themselves over the last few possessions.
Yeah, Jalen Boston was passing that ball to me. It was coming straight for me. I just couldn't reach it.
You don't play anymore.
I do not.
Do you wish you did?
No. I want to be like everyone else. I want to be an armchair coach. I mean, we have so many of those, right? I can hear some in the stands tonight. You know, they know the foul calls. They know everything. So I'm going to be that.
When you expect the armchair coaches, you can take it in a little bit better. They're everywhere. Bellarmine trying to push it to a 2-possession lead, 7 to go. Johnson hesitated, pass swatted. Believe she was held trying to go for the basketball.
Yeah, I mean, she got it tipped, and then Jalen Foster held her arm and was unable. Jalen was unable to connect with that pass.
Bellarmine goes with its 4-wide set on the inbounds play. Keelan posting up. Coatney soars for the rebound, jump ball.
And I tell you what, that fired up Crystal Kelly. I mean, when your big is hustling like that, going for the ball, knowing exactly, as you see her, she comes from way out there and says, no ma'am, that's my ball too. And it was a great play, and it fires your bench up. I mean, all the coaches stood up on that one. When your big is willing to do what it takes to win, and Shaniqua Coatney has showed the coaching staff tonight that she is willing to do what it takes.
I don't think Crystal's jumped up that quickly since she played at Western.
Probably not.
I mean, she was all over that, loving that
she
as the post coach. Scott off the back. Pulls a Kobe Bryant. Keelan, air ball.
Yeah.
So Western scoots right back, down by 2. Grinded out game. Who flinches? Abdel Gawad, senior leader. Can she continue to step up? All underclassmen around her. Driving kick for Meade, saves it just before half court. 2 on the shot clock. Abdel Gawad, offensive rebound, Savory, and we're tied.
You know, Coach Dugan just threw her hands down. It's so deflating for a defense to guard that hard for 30 seconds and to give up an offensive putback.
Johnson's been cold since the first. Abdel Gawad for the lead. She's been cold from downtown all game. Western gets another offensive rebound. This time it was Blevins, and she was pushed.
Yeah, probably a little frustration there. I mean, you bring the ball down, you got the offensive ball, but Blevins just came and picked her pocket from the end, and I'm sure she was a little frustrated and pushed her in the back. You just got to be strong. When you're playing Western Kentucky, they do not stop. Just because you've rebounded the ball doesn't mean that they are done. They are pesky. They are active on both ends of the court.
Forced 23 Bellarmine turnovers. Gathered 13 offensive rebounds. Foul. Jayla Johnson with the hold.
You know, that's Alexis Meade. I mean, just diving to the basket, and then Jalen standing still. If you're Bellarmine, if you're in a white uniform and you're standing straight up and not in a defensive stance, you're going to get beat. And the Bellarmine Knights who continue to play defense that way are getting beat.
And that activity for Western all starts with off-season conditioning. They can't play this way if they're not in good shape.
That's right. You know, Coach Collins talked about that. The first game against Purdue was not their first game. I mean, they open up Diddle Arena, turn on the lights, and they scrimmage against their practice players, and they make it like a game. So they're used to. These young players have played a lot of games.
Yeah, ready to go to start the season, looking for a 4th straight win, trying to expand their 1-point lead with 5.5 to go.
You know, good decision there by Alexis Meade. You know, didn't have the numbers and said, let's set it up.
Switch on to Scott. Pump fakes, turns, and hits. What a move from the freshman.
Yeah, she's just crafty. Sneaky, crafty. She's down the court yelling to her teammates.
Team I 15 points for her. Foul on Blevins in the backcourt.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, just showed the basketball to the goal, reverse pivot, and knocked down that shot.
Freshmen don't make those moves.
I don't think she's a freshman. This kid, and she just hasn't played basketball in the gym. She's played out on the courts or something. I mean, that's just playing the game of basketball.
Confident in everything she does.
Yeah.
Another steal for Western. They're 15th. And Savory circles out. They're slowing down their pace. Think they're trying to wind the clock?
Well, I just think they're making good decisions, right? I mean, Bellarmine has not showed them that they can guard them in the half court consistently. So if you don't have numbers, back it out.
It's the Meade show right now. Last 3 gives them a 2-possession lead. And a chance to make it 3 possessions here.
Love that kid. I mean,
Hard not to.
Yeah, nice hesitation dribble.
Johnson comes away with it. Scott open for a deep 2. It's good.
Yeah, Kathleen Scott stopped the bleeding. That was a nice transition for Bellarmine.
So Bellarmine gets the bucket it needed to stop the 8-0 Western run. Timeout Chancellor Dugan to try and preserve some of that momentum with 4 to play.
Yeah, I'm sure she's going to talk to them about, you know, taking care of the basketball, especially at the end of the game. You cannot give teams extra possessions, especially this team who has proven that they will capitalize. I mean, Bellarmine right now sitting at 23 turnovers, and WKU has gotten 23 points off of those turnovers. So they are consistently taking advantage of miscues from the Bellarmine Knights.
Now, Lauren Deal was knocked down on that last play, and she just went to the training table. So that'll be something to keep an eye on the final 4 minutes. She's having a nice game with 14 points, a season high for her, to lead all Bellarmine scorers. If Deal can't be out there with her activity, that's going to be a big blow for the Knights.
Yeah, it looks like they may be retaping or something. It's hard for us to see from our angle. But let's talk about Alexis Mead for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. I mean, she's got 18 points, 6 of 14 from the field, and has 4 steals.
Yeah, she just fell right there at the last second. Lauren did.
I don't know if she tripped over.
Right on Kulo.
Yeah, Kulo's. Yeah. So they probably, looks like they might be retaping that ankle. They have one of the team physicians looking over it. But
so they bring out Lucy Robertson. It's Brown, Scott, Kenise, Robertson, and Keelan for now. Gonna bring somebody on. There's only 4.
Yeah, the officials waiver on, but as you can see, June Matsuno is the athletic trainer, and he was just getting her retaped.
Hopefully for Bellarmine, Lauren Deal is able to come back in.
And he gives Lauren Deal a quick breather. I'm sure she's appreciative of that.
Yeah, she's always hustling everywhere. Western up by 4, under 4 to go. Mead's been on fire. She's got 3 threes. Abdelgawad wants a screen. Solid defense from Bellarmine. 5 on the shot clock. It's going to be Mead. Steps back for 3. Shot clock violation.
Great defensive possession by the Bellarmine Knights. I mean, they were solid inside, solid outside, solid on the pick and rolls.
Maybe a relief there. It didn't hit the rim, so that Western couldn't get the offensive rebound.
Exactly. Shot clock violations are nice. Oh, that's a dangerous pass with Alexis Mead at the top.
Robertson finds a gap, but she can't put it home. They slice through that Western zone, but no finish. Stays a 2-possession ball game. Meredith rattles in.
Yeah, you don't want Maya Meredith to get going. I mean, she's just so athletic, and the ability for her to do a lot of things.
Savory again with the steal and a charge.
Yeah. I mean, Bellarmine's passes seem to be not very crisp, and it allows for steals and getting deflections in this press.
Savory is just like a safety out there. Hawk around the ball. Kathleen Scott seems to come up with a big play for her team every time.
She does.
Brown handles it. Bellarmine sets up. It's Coatney. Trying to get it to her again. Kenise walked.
You know, every time your defense does something positive, you know, the offense comes up and shoots themselves in the foot. I mean, Bellarmine just turning it over and just getting empty possession after empty possession on the offensive end.
Yeah, pairing those two together just so critical. Bellarmine hasn't been able to do that consistently enough tonight. And Western's in the driver's seat for the final 2. Kulo on the roll, misses. Brown with the late contest.
I mean, if you're Bellarmine, you need to be giving Shaniqua Coatney a look inside. And but you know, Shaniqua's not working on for positioning for her teammates to give her the basketball.
Scott took the three instead and missed it. 90 seconds left. Bellarmine needs a stop. Meredith, dagger.
Yeah, as we talked about, Jack, I mean, you don't want Maya Meredith to get going. I mean, she can kill you off the dribble, and then right here she shows that, hey, listen, my feet are set. I'm going to let it fly, and she did, and it, you know, it gives them the lead, and it makes it very hard for a Bellarmine comeback.
Bellarmine was hanging around. It was 51 apiece. Western has outscored them 11-2 since that point. Looks like they'll win a fourth straight, barring a steep Bellarmine comeback. Bellarmine's upcoming schedule, they've got Evansville here on Tuesday. Another winnable game for the Knights against the Purple Aces, who they took down to the wire last year. Tough trip to Austin Peay. Spalding, non-Division I team, very winnable, obviously, for Bellarmine. Ball State, team they played in the opener last year before Bellarmine was at full strength. I know the Knights will want a better shot at the Cardinals in Muncie, and then Campbellsville to wrap up the non-conference schedule.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot more digestible, I should say, to play some of these opponents than Ohio State and Louisville, how they started the year. And as you can see, Western Kentucky's upcoming schedule as well. You know, both teams trying to find a way to get better and prepare themselves for conference play.
Well, Tennessee Tech and Belmont, the top two picks in the OVC. Those will be a couple of tough games for Western Kentucky. His young team up to the task. Bellarmine's been able to hang around today at a 4-point lead at halftime. But the Lady Toppers on the verge of a fourth straight win. Bellarmine has to get it started here.
And quickly.
75 seconds left.
Yeah, Bellarmine doesn't have a lot of time to pass the ball around. They have to score quickly.
That turnover just might do it. 1:05 remaining, Western ball.
Well, Jack, that was the Bellarmine 26th turnover of the game. And so when you turn the ball over at that high rate, especially against a team like Western Kentucky, they definitely will make you pay.
That's been a part of their story this season. Their DNA that's going to allow them to be successful if they are the rest of the season. Off to a pretty solid start this year. They'll move to 5-3. Hope Savory banks it home. She got Western rolling in the first, and a fitting way to cap it for the Hilltoppers. Deal hits the free throw line jumper. Bellarmine press, Western handles easily. They can dribble it out if they want to. Looks like that's what they'll do with Abdel Gawad.
And Coach Dugan is, you know, calling it off as well. I mean, there's no need to foul here. I don't know that I've ever seen a 9-point play.
Impossible. Western Kentucky wins, fourth straight victory. It was tough against a feisty Bellarmine team, but Western pulls away down the stretch, converting off Bellarmine turnovers. Just too many of them today for the Knights, and Western able to find enough plays on the offensive side, Pam.
Yeah, they were relentless, and you know, begins with you know, their point guard. Alexis Mead, talked about her all night long. I mean, she was on the offensive end and the defensive end. And for the Knights, Shaniqua Coatney coming in off the bench and doing what she did defensively and offensively. And for Bellarmine to be successful, she's going to have to show up.
We'll have to see